Hundreds of miles above Earth, the absence of air creates a total vacuum. Because there is no medium to carry vibrations, sound cannot travel. Space is, by definition, silent. On October 15, 2003, the Shenzhou 5 spacecraft entered this void. Its mission was straightforward: orbit the Earth for 21 hours and return safely. Inside the capsule sat young Liwei, China's first astronaut. He was effectively the most isolated human in existence, drifting thousands of miles from anyone. The capsule served as a high-tech survival pod. It was a pressurized, sealed environment designed to keep the vacuum out, as even the smallest breach would mean certain death. This created the ultimate locked room scenario. Every law of physics dictated that an external physical intrusion was impossible. That silence was suddenly shattered by a rhythmic knocking sound. It came directly from the outside of the hull, sounding like a wooden hammer striking an iron bucket. Moments later, low, unexplainable whispers began to echo within the cabin, seemingly responding to the knocks from the void. Yang immediately checked his life support systems. He scanned the oxygen levels and cabin pressure, searching for a mechanical failure, but every instrument reported a perfectly stable environment. The data proved the capsule was secure, yet Yang's senses insisted that something in the vacuum was trying to force its way inside. Yang unbuckled his harness and floated toward the corner of the hull to find the source of the whispering. The noises ceased the instant he reached the wall, leaving him alone in the silence. The terror escalated when Yang perceived a shift in the capsule's telemetry. He became convinced an invisible force was physically shoving the spacecraft out of its orbit, potentially dragging him away from Earth. He scrambled to the controls, initiating a manual override of the thrusters to fight the perceived drift and force the capsule back onto its trajectory. Realizing he could not identify the threat, Yang chose to strap back into his seat and wait out the final hours of the mission, attempting to block out the phenomena entirely. In the depths of space, absolute psychological discipline is often the only tool an astronaut has left to maintain control. Yang landed safely 21 hours later. During debriefing, he gave scientists a detailed account of the knocking and strange events outside the ship. The investigation moved past initial ghost stories to perform a scientific autopsy on the spacecraft's performance. To understand the sounds, scientists looked at the hull's architecture. As this diagram shows, the capsule is a complex sandwich of metallic frames, internal insulation, and an outer thermal shield. In low Earth orbit, the spacecraft cycles through brutal temperature extremes. When the hull is exposed to direct, boiling sunlight, the metal layers rapidly expand. As the ship moves into the freezing shadow of the Earth, that same metal violently contracts. This rapid snapping and warping creates shockwaves that vibrate through the structure, sounding exactly like rhythmic knocking to anyone inside. The intruder was the spacecraft itself, groaning under the physical stress of the orbital environment. While thermodynamics explained the knocks, scientists still had to account for the whispers and the paranoid sensation of being pushed off course. This pointed toward a psychological phenomenon called auditory pareidolia, a side effect of extreme sensory deprivation. A brain starved of external stimuli will manufacture patterns to fill the gap. Under the immense stress of his first mission, Yang likely interpreted internal mechanical hums and his own heartbeat as whispers and deliberate physical movements. The unbearable silence of the void forces the human mind to construct its own breaths to explain the stress it is experiencing. The final investigation ruled out any external entities or paranormal interference. Shenzhou 5 was alone the entire time. The mission proved that space exploration tests the absolute limits of structural engineering and human mental stability simultaneously. The genuine terror of orbit comes from the unforgiving laws of physics, which are far more dangerous than any fictional monster. Yang Liwei had survived an environment inherently designed to break both human machinery and the human psyche. Space is a violently active pressure cooker, where even the protective metal of the spacecraft is constantly screaming under the strain.